Welcome to Cherry Bomb. My name is Gloria.
My name's Nikki.
I'm Dalila.
I'm Tatum.
And this week we're going to be talking about Pride because in Los Angeles this week, this would be our Pride celebration week, although LA seems like it celebrates Pride all year long. But this is officially the Pride weekend, and Pride began in 1970 on June 28th. So it's been a minute. And it's been a part of our lives and our community for a while. So I'm wondering, how are you feeling not being able to celebrate the pride of it all because of the COVID of it all?
It's just not normal.
No. I put on my pride earrings for today. Although London, yeah, there are kind of little rainbows, but I feel like this is kind of, I feel a little muted.
Yeah.
A little pride muted. And also London looks a bit like an explosion of pride. There's rainbows everywhere, but that's because people are celebrating the NHS with rainbows. So I'm like, on this street. Oh wait, no.
I'm counted gay anyway. Just counted gay anyway.
So yeah, so I feel a little disconnected, to be honest. Like I feel it does feel really odd.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this whole year has felt so odd in general because nothing's what it was. So the experiences of even just getting together with small groups to celebrate, and then being out in the crowd or just having the parties and just feeling like celebratory with a larger community in person is just a different level. It's just a different experience.
It's been like there's so many years that we've been out at different prides and either been not only here, but also like San Francisco, New York, traveling around. There's like the years that we all marched together with like our Cherry Bomb banner and all of our things. And my kid has usually marched with me every year. He was so disappointed. He's like, this is my last year before college and I can't, and I've never missed a pride parade since I was 5 in LA. He's marched for HRC or something every year and passed out stickers.
Yeah. Oh, I do remember this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, the first year. He even did last year. I didn't do it, and he went out with some of his gay aunties and went into the streets and advocated in activism. Time flows weird right now. It feels like it's not really Pride, but I do feel like it's closer to what Pride was really about because everybody out in the streets marching and tearing shit up.
Mm-hmm. Right, because it began as like a riot, as an uprising. Yeah. So, and we are still in the move for justice, just in a different, but also kind of like parallel realms. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Well, and I think that it's justice in both ways too, because we're still fighting for some of our rights too, especially for Black queer people and our rights and Black trans people. So like, I was incredibly moved watching all the marches, that were really focused on supporting especially Black trans women who have been killed and that their lives mattered. Like that's a part that even though Black trans women started the Stonewall riot, have often been left out of the alphabet soup and the celebration and the lifting up within the community during Pride.
Yeah. So what, do you have like a favorite Pride memory? So for me, when I first moved to LA, I moved during Pride season. So when I left New York, I moved to LA, and one of the first things we did is that we went to Pride stuff. And then I was like, oh my God, I like Dorothy. I am finally home. This is epic. This feels amazing and lovely. So that's whenever Pride season, I think, oh, this is like my anniversary of moving to LA. This would be my 10-year anniversary. It's right now. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And how go ahead. Pride in New York?
So I definitely did Pride in New York, and I very distinctly remember going to my first Dyke March in New York, and it was massive. I mean, and the march was so long, it was like 30 or 40 blocks, and we marched down to this place near NYU, and the streets were just full of lesbians. It was, I've never experienced anything like that. And I was still like, not new out of the closet, but I was kind of new. And I'd never experienced a Dyke March. And I just was like I was just like marching, but just really just looking around at like the glory of it all. And then they would like link arms and stop traffic, you know what I mean? And like, you know, dykes get there and they hold the traffic. I was just like, and people were yelling from their balconies, like happy. It was just nothing like it. It was just, and you know, and I had a cowbell and I was just banging it. You know, I love to bang a cowbell. It was magical. Yeah.
Honestly, that sounds similar to my experience when I lived in San Francisco. I moved there when I was 19, and it was magical and miraculous, and my mind was blown. I felt like it was a sea of people. The city's only 7 miles by 7 miles. And I just felt like I walked everywhere, and it was just like everybody was just celebrating, and it was very colorful. You can understand, very much like New York, the different types of people, the expressions are all over the map. And so I was just like high as a kite, and like also taking it in and just overwhelmed with excitement. It was really fun, really fun.
I feel like one of my favorite ones is San Francisco too. Like I'd gone to Pride for years here in LA, and I often was like working on things. So a lot of times I was having like, every time Pride was coming up, I was like having to do work and set up things and setting up awards. So it involved like not always just having fun. It involved me doing a lot of stuff. And there's one year, the first year, I was like, I've never been to Pride in San Fran. I was like, this might be a fun adventure to take on. I was like, I had to do something else around that time anyway, up with my family. So I was like, I'm just gonna go and I'm gonna treat it like an adventure. And I went on my own, like I wasn't going with friends or anything. And I was like, I'm just gonna surrender this whole trip to Spirit and then just see where I'm led and see what happens and who I, you know, connect with or what kind of magical things happen. And it really was like I went to Dolores Park, and like one of the first people I saw who I did not know was in San Francisco was one of my dear friends who I've known for like, now it's like 20 years, but like then it was for quite some time. And I was like, Kai, is that you? And he turned back, he's like, bitch, and like ran over, got to a whole set of like other friends that we got to hang with for a while that I hadn't seen in ages. And then I found like another group of friends, and I'm sitting with them and everybody's like offering cocktails and different things. And then somebody's like, do you want some gluten-free fried chicken? I said, excuse me? I said, you have like,
you literally landed on your,
like, if you just gave me some tequila and then you said, you have gluten-free fried chicken, I don't have to cook for myself? Yes, would you like some? Hell yes, I would. Yes, I would. And then we went marching like through the streets, but we didn't do the full march. But like San Francisco, it's like LA pares it down to West Hollywood, but San Francisco is literally pretty much the whole city. So like, yes. It's like everything.
It's honestly my favorite. It's mind blowing. And like you said, Dalila, I had the most magical things happen, like left and right, that I was like, is this real?
Yeah. And it's just like kept showing up. It's like the universe just kept showing up. It's like gay utopia and heaven. Lovely.
Yeah. What about you, Tatum?
Mm-hmm. Well, there's just no way to kind of minimize that power, right? Because that's what it is. Like that first time that you go and you feel like you found your place and everyone's happy and everyone is so open, right? So like people talk that maybe wouldn't talk in other circumstances, and people have cross conversations and, you know, bring you into things in a way that like just makes you feel a part of something that's bigger. I think there is that kind of tapping into connection in what's happening right now, but also that history of it. And I'm someone that when the parade goes by, I just bawl, like I just cry. Like I can't wear any mascara. You know, when like the parents come, oh, that finishes me.
Absolutely.
And for someone who's, you know, had to struggle, make it to a Pride, like it, and being a part of being like part of a welcoming sort of environment, I just think is what it's all about. And finding that place that it doesn't matter what you're wearing, it doesn't matter what. I remember the last time we went to Pride in LA, and I felt a bit out of the loop, and I wore quite a prissy dress. It was my favorite color. And I got there and I was like, shit, I really should have like slutted up a little bit. Do you know what I mean? And also rainbows and something a little bit more, you know, a little bit more creative. And here I am in this like high necked, quite prissy.
I have pictures of us with you. Yeah, you looked great.
Yeah, and I was like, I've been wearing this. And it was wonderful because all day people coming up going, oh, I love your dress. And I was like, when do you ever get that? Like, you know, and it was like, people were saying it to everyone, but like, you felt like, oh, like I fit in even.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. One of the things you reminded me is like, when the parents usually come by, and I think that I remember when I first came out and, I didn't feel like I was quite accepted yet. And I would just look at those parents and I would just bawl and bawl and bawl, like those signs, like, I love my gay son. And
Oh my.
You
Glow,
know,
I feel the same way as you. That when I saw that, because I also wasn't gonna have like, I didn't, same thing. When I would see the parents and see like, I'm so proud of my daughter, I'm so proud of my son, it's same.
Well, and I think
It's
about
like,
now where I was then and now where my mom is now, and I just think, my God, how beautiful that over time that she's come to like love and understand and embrace, you know, me and the gay community more. You know, she's like, you know, she called out Blue Mountain because they didn't have any like pride cards. She's like, why don't they have like little pride videos? You know, pride's a holiday. And I was like, I don't know if it's a holiday, but you know, keep that energy. You know what I mean? But just like, you know, how time has really helped us, you know, be able to like embrace each other, and for her to like really get on my side about it. And I just think, you know, that I'm reminded of that with Pride, of like, you know, how
like the growth forward. You remember my mom went with us when the Pride where Queen Latifah performed in Long Beach.
Oh,
my mom came to visit and we all went together, and my mother had never been to a Pride, so like she kept like, she was like, what is he wearing? Like it was like very much so like, what is, I need to get a picture of this costume. I need but she's looking at people and asking if she can take their picture, and like so excited. And she's like, oh my goodness, and what is that? But like she was having so much fun. And it was such like, when I first came out, she wasn't like as comfortable either. So for her to move from that place to be out at Pride dancing with me and having fun and enjoying this time was like amazing, you know?
That is amazing. That is so amazing. My mom is so loving too, like time, and even my dad, like just loving and accepting and just loving as it always will, as it, you know, it's time is so, can be so amazing. What's beautiful is also like a lot, you know, if you're a parent or our generation now collectively is more open. And so it's really special because I've worked with, you know, teenagers and their parents are amazing and so open. And I'm thinking, it's really cool what time can do to open us all up collectively to be more heart.
Exactly. Individually, culturally, as a community, as a country.
Yes.
It reminds me, so I know that This American Life did it so well. There was an episode called 81 Words about the process of changing, you know, the DSM, the manual for mental disorders. So basically the shift from therapists, like if you came in and you said that you were gay, they would try and help you become straight because it was in their book as it was a disorder, to changing 81 words and making it not a disorder. And if someone comes in and says they're gay, to kind of help them accept who they are. And it's a fascinating episode because it really talks about circles of activism. So you had your Pride going on, you had inner sanctums of psychiatrists working from the inside, you had straight allies. It's fascinating like how everything came together. But it all, so the night before they're going to vote, they accidentally, all the people, I think it was majority men, all the psychiatrists accidentally went to a gay bar. And they're looking around and, you know, they had never seen happy gay people. they had only seen patients that had come to them when they were already suicidal.
Yeah.
So some of the doctors were not necessarily like, we hate gay people, just that, oh, well, being gay clearly makes people very upset because they're all wanting to kill themselves, all the ones I've seen.
Yeah.
So the power of seeing, you know, and I imagine the conversations of them tapping someone on the shoulder, you know, who's like, topless and sweaty, going, hey, yeah, are you happy? Like, are you okay with this? Are you sure? And going, yeah, we're good. And the next day they changed the 81 words and there was history. So I think every time I think of Pride, I think of all the parents that maybe are legitimately worried, you know, that
totally.
are fearful, but then get to look around and go, oh God, actually,
my child can have a perfectly happy life. Who knew?
Yeah, they're always trying to protect us. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, that's the thing. It's always like a protection of like, I was having a conversation with a family member the last few days about, not specifically about being queer. They've now accepted that, but like about being an outlier or being someone who's different or not, that doesn't fit in the bell curve of what's considered normal in whatever place. And one of the things she kept mentioning, she's like, but you know, it's dangerous. It could be detrimental to you. She's like, you just have to be aware. Like but I could tell she was like genuinely, like, if you fit outside of these sets of norms, you're in danger, and I don't want you to be in danger.
100%, Dalila. That's the thing. I remember being young and just like, I think I was 18 or 19, and I liked this woman for the first time, liked her. And I was like, I like her more than a friend. And I tried to explain that to my mom. And then I was moving to San Francisco, and she's like, I cried. And she's like, honey, I don't want your life to be harder than it has been, you know? That makes sense. And I grew up really Catholic. I never saw gay. But the thing is I was like, but I like men still. And I'm just curious to see what about this woman. And so it is always a protection thing. It's coming from love. And yet you're right. It's nice to see happy queer community and happy queer individuals, only to find out that they also are in a same-sex relationship or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So, you know,
I think joy is revolutionary. I truly do.
Yeah.
Like the ability for us to live in joy and not detriment or sadness is a revolutionary act in the face of all the things that we walk through. I think that's part of why the Pride festivals have turned into what they are, is that's also an act of protest, because it's blatantly reveling in our joy.
So that's I like that actually. What are you taking away so far? What would you take away from what we've talked about?
Just that little bit at the end there, Dee, that you were saying, because I do think there's something to, despite what, and I do think the world has changed and has moved forward. So there's been a lot of progress, but to find joy in your life is revolutionary. And they always say, you know, the personal is political. So I would extend that to say that joy, personal joy, is also political, because it's saying, in the face of adversity or your laws or your rules, I still have the right to feel joy and to show that and express that. And that's political and revolutionary. So that's my takeaway. So I'm going to, you know, burn my gay candle and listen to my gay music and feel all the joy I can today. What about you, T?
I want to echo everything that you said. Like, I think that it's, you know, even when we've been around Pride for many, many years, actually coming back into that, remembering that kind of revolutionary part. And also, like, it is, you're there to kind of also be that light, be that rainbow for everybody else, right? So like, to be that welcoming person or that welcoming smile or for someone else coming in, it's the power of connection, really. And sometimes sloppy makeouts. Well, that's what it used to be about.
Where's that?
Leave that out.
I would, you know, that thing about like time and like the arc of time and how things shift, and that like when we're in a moment, we often don't recognize in that moment how much things can shift over time. And I think that's like a really important thing to remember. Like that combined with like this other conversation, like years ago, I wasn't in the normal bell curve of almost anything. you know, like I was an outlier in so many different groups, but the world has moved to a place where a lot of those groups are no longer as far on the outskirts or as far outside of the bell curve. And I think it's just time that takes that. And so it's like, if you stay anchored in your authenticity and then you let the world catch up, that eventually things catch up.
Yeah. Nikki?
Yeah. And I feel like the joy of a lifetime truly is to appreciate who you are. That feels like, you know, to really embrace who you are and accept, love, and honor. And I think that we always change. That's the beautiful part.
Mm-hmm.
And is to, when we have that appreciation for that knowing that we evolve and grow to feel alive, that it gives the true knowing of that, and that can branch deep into the roots of honesty and authenticity and integrity. We have that freedom to give to other people, that openness and the room. And I think that that's just feels lighter to live that way.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels more loving, you know?
Yeah. I love that. More loving to yourself, and it's also therefore more loving. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad that I got to at least see you all during Pride and celebrate Pride with you, even if it is through the Zoom.
Yes.
So thank you so much for thank you so much for joining into Cherry Bomb, and happy Pride.
Happy Pride.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.